I'd just like to run through with you some of the books I picked up in charity shops in April 2024. These are in no particular order because I can't remember the order I found them in, and I can't remember exact shops either, but I remember that I haven't actually done a video on these because I got sidetracked with telling you about car boots when they started. So just a quick look at some of the books I picked up. So first off we have Heavier Than Heaven, a biography of Kurt Cobain, written by Charles R. Cross. I picked this one up for £1. I thought maybe autobiographies, or should I say biographies, might sell well, but this one's not really got any value, so probably a bit of a bust on that one. Actually quite interested in reading this one though. Kurt Cobain is quite fascinating about his life and death. I picked up a Magic the Gathering War of the Spark Ravinica by Greg Wiseman. Again, I thought this one might have some value, but I don't think it's got a massive amount of value, especially not on its own. Probably as a set it would do quite well. This one was £1. For my own interest, I have picked up a Introducing Jung, the graphic guide. This looks quite amusing, kind of a different take on Carl Jung. I do like him. His Memories, Dreams and Reflections book is a fabulous book that I recommend everyone read. This, I'm guessing, is going to be a bit more of a light-hearted approach. This one cost me 25p. And another 25p book is Robert L. Forward's The Flight of the Dragonfly. One of those books I've always heard about but never read, and love the art style on this. This is obviously quite an old book. This is the first NEL paperback edition, 1985. Yeah, looking forward to reading that one. Also for 25p each, Seb Kirby's Regret No More, Forgive No More and Take No More. A nice little set. They're in really nice condition. Apparently an unput-downable James Blake thriller. I will have to have a look and see how many thrillers there are in the set and if it makes sense to read these three or not. Let's have a look, see if we can tell from the here. So at the back it says the James Blake thrillers, Take No More, Regret No More, Forgive No More. So according to this book, I have all three. So these will be a nice trilogy to read and then resell. Basically pick those up because they look like a nice little set and they're in such good condition for 25p each. I picked up a copy of Magician by Raymond D. Feast for 50p. This was going to be a gift to a friend, but ironically he actually bought the same book the same weekend. So I messaged him to say, oh, I found this book for you, and he had just got it. We'd been talking about how much we loved this book and how he wanted to reread it. I already have a copy of this, but mine's in a large format paperback. So as this one's actually in really quite good condition, I might keep this one and get rid of the larger one. I'm not sure though, because the larger one is the one that I read and it's got quite a lot of meaning to me, so I'll have to make a decision on that. But yeah, a nice copy of that. Everyone should read this book. I got a copy of Ian Banks' Stonemouth. I paid up for this one. This one was £2 because I collect Ian Banks and read his books, and this is one I hadn't read. I think this is quite a new one. This one is, well, relatively new, 2012. Yeah, I'm actually quite a bit behind on my Ian Banks books, but I love him. I think he's great. So that's going in my collection. And that's quite nice condition too. My sister-in-law raves about Alexander McCall Smith, so when I saw these in a charity shop, I thought I'd pick them up to see what she was on about. So we have the #1 Ladies Detective Agency, and I guess these two are from the same series, In the Company of Cheerful Ladies and the Double Comfort Safari Club. So I think they're all part of that same set. And then his other set is the 44 Scotland Street set, and this one's from that, Espresso Tales. So yeah, I'm making a collection of his books, and we'll see if I like them as well. These ones were 25p each, which is probably why I picked them up. Also for 25p, I got The Witcher: The Last Wish. I'm collecting these to make a read of. I've played the computer game, loved it. Haven't seen the Netflix series. That's going to be on my list of things to watch when I finally get around to having a Netflix subscription. But I like to spend more of my time reading than I do watching telly, so I'm not sure when that will ever happen. But yeah, this one's going into my collection to read. Another 25p book is Welsh Legends and Folk Tales by Gwyn Jones. Now that I live in Wales, I like to find out more about the history and folk tales of the region, and I just really love that type of thing. Also thought that as it's an old Puffin book, it might have some value, but I don't think this one does. Let's see if I can... Oh, it's got that old jumble sale smell. This one is 1995. Yeah, great interest to me, probably no value. Another 25p book, Derek Landy, Skullduggery Pleasant Playing with Fire. I've started a collection of Skullduggery Pleasant because basically because the covers look great and it sounds really interesting. So I do like a young, I guess this is a teen type read. I find them really quick to read and they're really good fun and nice way to pass the time. So I'm going to collect all of those and then read them and then sell them on afterwards when I've got a whole set. I also got the, now I'm probably going to pronounce this totally wrong, the Mabinogion. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. So this is a more serious look at the folk Welsh tales. As I say, I'm really fascinated in the Welsh history and Welsh folklore, and I'm going to look forward to reading this one. Again, probably no resale value. Right. This is probably kind of like the more serious version of this. This is probably dumbed down children's version, and this is probably a more sort of academic view of them. Getting a theme here. This one was 25p as well. Love Arthur C. Clarke. Read lots when I was younger. Can't remember if I've read this one or not, so I will be making a read of it. And then these probably would sell if I had a set. I don't think it's got any value on its own. It's just a standard paperback, but that's just for a read. And also for a read, although I need to collect the set, although this is luckily the first one, is Brian Sanderson. This is The Final Empire, Mistborn Book 1. I've heard a lot about him recently. He's been kind of talked about quite a lot where in places that I've been, watching things on YouTube, and just people in general have mentioned him. So yes, this is going to be my first Brian Sanderson book. Can you believe it, for a fantasy fanatic? Not sure how he slipped past me, but I did have a whole period of my life when I wasn't reading much at all. Having been an avid fantasy reader as a teenager, when I got into my 20s, 30s, I got distracted with real life and missed out on quite a lot of good fantasy books. So I'm making up for it now by going back and discovering them all. So yeah, looking forward to this one. I've got a hardback of first edition of another one in this series, which I'm trying to sell, but I'm obviously look out and just try and get all the paperbacks to read. This one was 25p again. So there were another few books that I bought in April that I forgot to tell you about. And a couple of them have sold and a couple of them are listed. So I will see if I can find the ones that I've listed to show you, and then we'll look at the ones that have sold. So we have Hilary Mantel, The Mirror and the Light. This is a hardback first edition, and my goodness, it's heavy. So I'm not going to hold it up for long, but I can show you that it's the nice first edition, 2020. And I'll show you what I got it listed up for here, hopefully. The Rolling Stones, It's Only Rock and Roll, the stories behind every song. I like the Rolling Stones. And this looks like an interesting book if you're really into them. Oh, got the light shining on it there, sorry. Try and hold it better. Picked it up for 25p. Not a massive resale value. We'll see if I can manage to sell it. I picked this one up for 50p. This is Vaynor, A Study of the Welsh Countryside by Elwyn Bowen. Sometimes these sort of niche history books are quite, sell quite well because you don't see them very often. So this one's in 1992. It's got some lovely illustrations, and it's basically the history of Vaynor, which is not far from Merthyr Tydfil, I believe. So this is like looking at someone at Cefn Coed. Yeah, so it'd be really interesting for people who are studying Welsh history or genealogy. And given the success of my Armstead Maupin books that I found before and sold, and I've done a video on these are different covers, but there's the 6 Tales of the City books plus an extra one, and these were 4 for £1, so 25p each because I bought them with some other books. I'm not sure if this one might be worth me trying to read. I mean, as I say, I didn't really get on with the Tales of the City, but this is not part of that set. This is slightly different, so while I'm waiting for it to sell, I might have a quick flick through and see if it's any good. And then I also got, which I put in a different place, 4 for £1 again, Sophie Mackenzie's Medusa Project books. I got these for a read because they look like a set, and they look quite fun and interesting. So these are on my to read pile, and then maybe sell them afterwards. As I say, 25p each. So we have The Setup, The Hostage, The Rescue, Hunted, Double Cross, sorry about the light today, and Hit Squad. So the premise of these books, it says 14 years ago, scientist William Fox implanted 4 babies with the Medusa gene, a gene for psychic abilities, but Fox died and the babies were hidden away for years. Now they're teenagers and unaware that their psychic powers are about to kick in. Yeah, and I love a bit of sort of supernaturally genetic manipulation kids. Kind of a bit like X-Men, but hopefully maybe a bit more down to earth. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to reading these. I also picked up this Fairies of the Trees book for £2, in not great condition, but considering its age, pretty good. Obviously it's got a mark on the back where a sticker's been. So I think I had one of these when I was a child. Now this one has got a dedication in it, but it says 1942 in pencil up there. And it's a lovely little book, published in 1940. It's got these, it's basically lots of poems about tree fairies, along with gorgeous illustrations. And it's all hand bound and stitched, like the old books always were. Yeah, I had a few fairies books when I was a kid. I think I might have had this one, so this is quite a nostalgia pickup. Look at these gorgeous pictures. I read through it and the poetry wasn't great, but the pictures were delightful. And I put this up onto eBay and it sold reasonably quickly, although I did accept an offer and we came to an agreement of £14. So after fees and costs, that was an £8.40 profit. And I have a feeling that the lady who purchased it off of me is going to actually cut these pictures out and sell them on individually, maybe framed, because that seems to be the sort of thing that she sells on her site. Which seems a shame to cut up such a lovely old book, but it's, to be fair, I think the pictures were probably better than the poetry. So I think that just about wraps up all my purchases for April. So let's take a look at the book fund. I hope you enjoyed this look at the books that I bought in April from charity shops. Most of them probably going to be to read rather than sell. But if you liked it, please hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm off to read a book.